Hi, welcome to a new video on Code Tech and Tutorials. I am your host, Maticus. As promised, I would do another Visual Studio video, part 2 if you will, on how to compile libraries. Maybe this one should have been first before how to include them and all, but oh well. Oh well. So when you make a project and you want to add stuff to it, I'm talking to C++ project, it can get a little tricky. So what we're looking at here is GLFW. Now GLFW is basically a little system for setting up display windows. That way you can render stuff inside a window. A lot of people use it for OpenGL and other various purposes. So when you go to their page, glfw.org, and you go to download the latest, you get it in a zip file, and when you open that up, I got a lot of stuff in here. I've already got it once before, as you can see there, and I'm getting it again, which is fine. We'll go ahead and isolate that over here. We'll just do a fresh one. So you take this zip file and you want to basically extract it however you want. I'm just going to do an extract here, so I'll put it right on my desktop. I'm using pzip. You can use whatever you want. You know, there's WinZip, WinRAR, and all those. Once you extract it and open the folder, you'll see something like this. You'll think, okay, there's includes. Where's my libraries? Well, that's not quite how it works. You need to do a little more. You basically need to compile it for your version of Windows and add it to your development stuff. You will see a CMake folder here. This includes pretty much everything you need, but you do need to go get CMake. Then go to CMake.org and download CMake. I've already done this, so I'm just going to launch CMake. You'll get a CMake GUI, and you can see I've done some previous work, but I want to start this over, so I'm going to browse the source, and I'm going to go to my desktop and to that GLFW folder, and to, I think, is this all I need? Yeah. Just the root here is fine of whatever you're doing, and you can do browse build. This is where you want it to build to, and obviously I want to build it somewhere else. I'll just build it right within this folder, and we're going to make a new folder and just call it build. I think this is what most people do, and we'll just select that build folder. So there we go. That's how you get it set up and get ready. Let me get rid of this web page. I think you guys have probably seen enough of that. Very good, very good. All right. So what from here, you might ask? First you hit configure. It's going to prompt you for some stuff. We want Visual Studio 2017, that's right. And you can specify anything you want. We're going to use default native compilers, no additional arguments. And let it do its configure. It'll show you its information as it goes down here. And then once that's all done, you hit generate. And it'll say generating done. And then you do, let me close my Visual Studio here. And then you do open project, which should automatically open it in Visual Studio. So this is relatively straightforward. You don't have to do like any coding or much special stuff. You kind of just run it through this process. And we're going to do an all build here. So you select this all build, and you basically, I'm going to change this to release Win32, since I'm doing all 32-bit stuff in this case. Then you just hit the play button and let it do its thing, and it'll run it through the compiler. Oh my God, this glare from the window, it's really bright outside. You run it through the compiler and let it do its thing. And I'll show you the next step here shortly. It says unable to start program. That's okay. We don't actually want to start this program. We just want to build it. So maybe it would have been better for me to go to build and build solution, but any play button is fine too. There's not actually anything to run with GLFW. It's something that you code up with your project. So it says down here at the bottom, build 28 succeeded, 0 failed, 0 up to date, 0 skipped. That's good. We got all successes. So we can get out of here. We basically want to go to this build folder that we specified in CMake. And you want to add it to your development folder in Visual Studio. Now I've got a root folder I use. It's actually called OpenGL. Maybe it should be called development or something, because that's kind of what it is. And in here I have includes and libraries. Now in my includes, you notice this is GLFW, and I've got a .h and a .native. So that's one thing to bring in, and you need the library, the GLFW .live. So that is one thing to bring over. You would drag that over into your library folder, and you want to drag over your GLFW folder. Now where is that? There's the include folder. It's right on the root. The build gives you basically the library that you need. That's what you need from there. The include is probably already there just from downloading it. It's just these two headers, and those go in here. Both of which I already have. They're the same size. Let me just double check that my libraries are the same size. See if I happen to have gotten a new one. What was that? That was under build. So I'm going to go back to folders with my libraries. There it is. Now these are vastly different sizes. Okay, I've got a much smaller library here, so that's kind of tripping me out. GLFW3.live. Let's just search within this whole project for GLFW3.live and see. Okay, there's only the one, and it's 216 kilobytes as opposed to my previous one, which was 573. So that's a little strange. All right, so when you're in Visual Studio, as I said in the last video, part 1 of this little series here about using Visual Studio as your main IDE, you basically want to point your includes and libraries to these. If you're doing it for your whole development section with a globally, you would use your little development folder, often called development. I'm calling mine OpenGL. I really should probably just call it development. Let's just do that right now. Development. That's what most people tend to do. So you would point your includes and your libraries there, and then link them. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you want it locally on your project, of course, you got to copy those over, all this stuff over locally into your project. As I kind of said in the last video, I'm not going to go over that again, but that is how you compile them. When I built it before, which Visual Studio here, I'm guessing when I built it before, I built it some other way. Maybe I think I might have built rel with deb info, which is release with debug info. I'm pretty sure that's why I have a bigger library currently, because with the debug info, it's going to be much bigger. So if you want the debug info, you can compile it that way. If not, you just do plain release. You can do min size release. It'll give you a smaller library file. So it's up to you how you want to do those. Now, a lot of these libraries are like that. When you download them and unzip them, you'll notice they have a CMake. And if you look at their general instructions, it'll basically say, open them in CMake, hit configure, whatever we did, hit configure, then generate, and then open, and then build it. So that's basically it, and I think that covers this video. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. And if you have anything to add, anything I may have missed, let me know. One other thing I should note, I'm just going to open a project here. Last video, I was working on this little engine thing and just kind of showing an example of how to get to the properties under project properties, and then you could also right click here and get to the properties, for doing all your configuring. If you're confused about how to configure these, I recommend watching my previous video. But I should also note that as you can see, I have my real folders shown here. I don't think I talked about this in the last video. You got to click this show all files to show your actual file structure, which is so weird if you're used to editing through folder structures, because Visual Studio by default doesn't show you folder structures, it shows you sorts. Sorry about my camera and all this weird light, but it's not about my face anyway, so I guess we're good. Like, it does a sort of all your headers, a sort of your resources, a sort of your source, but these aren't actual folders. These are like fake sort folders. If you want to see your actual folders, you got to click this Show All Files, and then it shows you your actual file structure, which is nice because you can organize things how you actually like them. And there's my lives and my includes, of course. This project is set up locally. And if you have any .dlls that your project relies on to run, you do have to put them on the root of your project. And once again, yet another way to get into properties, you can click this little properties gear here. So I don't know, there's probably like 5-6 different ways to get to the same properties. I don't understand why programs do this. Just make one simple way to get to properties. Like, quick side rant. Like this, when you first open this, it looks huge. There's so many different things to do. But what you might not know is that lots of these are duplicates. Lots of these are just the same thing done in a tiny bit of a different way. So don't be too intimidated, but do be annoyed. I don't know. I'm always annoyed by it. I'm annoyed that there's 5 different ways to get to the same properties. Why? Just why? Why would you do that? Anyway, doesn't really matter that much. Just a little pet peeve of mine. Alright, I think that'll cover it. And I don't know what I'm going to cover in part 3, but there's got to be something relevant. If I can't think of anything, this will be kind of the end of getting set up. Hopefully you can get set up with your C++ projects with these 2 videos. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified. This channel's not all about how-tos. It's also kind of a comedy code channel, so I do these little videos kind of ranting about things sometimes and going over coding memes. So if you're interested in humor and coding humor, and that, subscribe for that reason too. Yet another demographic, that's not the right word for it. Another genre? I don't know. Alright, well, I'm out. You guys keep coding, do some cool stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.